So thank you, General. And if you would just introduce yourself for the folks at home and your team. And this is our last session of the day, so there's plenty of time.
I'm Glenn Funk. I'm the District Attorney for Nashville, Davidson County. To my right is Michael Brook. He's our Chief Financial Officer, and he's also in charge of a lot of the HR issues in our office. He's been working with our office for over 30 years, and I really appreciate his service. Let me talk a little bit about our office and what we do. We have 68 assistant district attorneys who are doing absolutely fantastic work. They're working very hard in an effort to try to promote the safety and the health of the Nashville community. We really focus our efforts on violent crime, and especially crimes with vulnerable victims. A couple quick highlights in our office. We have a domestic violence team that is doing some work that's not done anywhere else in the country. Half of all violent crime in Nashville is domestic violence related. Every morning we get a daily arrest report, which usually has about 30 names on it of people who've been arrested for domestic violence within the last 24 hours. Our office makes phone calls in the morning, that morning, and invites them to come down and meet with the district attorney that day and a victim witness coordinator in an attempt to try to make sure that that victim has a safety plan put together where we can talk to her about what she might need or the facts of the case to make sure that we have as strong a case as possible and to try to get enough support for her to where she will persist in her cooperation with the justice system and at the same time try to get her and the defendant into a healthy relationship, whether it's this one or the next. Our domestic violence unit is tracking stats, working with the Office of Family Safety and Diane Lance in the Office of Family Safety. They're excellent partners to work with in this, and we think we're going to make a difference in this generation, and we're going to be persistent on that and continue that work. We've also been working very hard statewide on elder abuse legislation. Our office took the lead and put together the rough draft of the Elder Abuse Act that is now working its way through the state legislation, legislature. We started a VAPIT team, a Vulnerable Adult Protective Investigative Team, in January. It meets with the Adult Protective Services. It works with police departments. It works with nursing homes to identify issues of elder abuse. That team has already reviewed over 300 referrals this year alone. I mean, we just started it in January. I really believe that elder abuse is going to be a topic in the future that we may end up with more elder abuse cases very quickly than child abuse cases. This is the fastest growing segment of our population, and whether it's physical abuse, financial exploitation, even sexual abuse, we need to do what we can to properly support our elderly, and our office has taken the lead on that, and we may end up asking for extra positions within the next couple of years, but not this year, because we first want to be good stewards of public funds and find out what the caseload is going to be before we come and ask for what the personnel are going to be needed for that. Jury trials in the last year have been up in all 6 divisions. We're making sure to use the resources that are provided by the city for our jury trials and by the state for our jury trials, and use those to try the right cases for the right people. Just a couple of examples. Already this year we've achieved conviction in a murder case where a man had murdered his mother-in-law. We'd also achieved a conviction on the day of trial. A man actually pled guilty who was a Boy Scout leader who had been sexually abusing 14 and 15-year-old Boy Scouts. And we're doing our part to make sure that this community is safe and that we are focusing our resources on the right folks. This district attorney's office provides a level of victim support that you don't find anywhere else in the country, and I'm very proud of that. While at the same time that we're doing that and focusing on those very serious crimes, we try to be good stewards. Good stewards not only of the liberty of our citizenry, but of the dollars in our treasury. I talked to y'all last year about what we're doing with driving on revoked license cases. We're active participants in the PIP plan Steering Clear, but more importantly and immediately, we have stopped asking for jail time on driving on revoked license cases unless the person is actively on probation for DUI. That's a part of the DUI punishment. But if it's a situation where it's really a crime of poverty, then we're not asking folks to go to jail on that 3 years ago, the city was paying for 18,000 inmate days per year in jail for folks who are only charged with driving on a revoked license. By last year, 2016, that number was down to 1,700 inmate days in jail. That saves the city over 16,000 inmate days in jail at $100 a day. That's $1.6 million we are making sure is not expended by the city. And most importantly, 16,000 inmate days where the people can be with their families, taking care of their children, being productive citizens at work, paying taxes, doing all those types of things. And it's one less reason why they could end up with a revoked driver's license that the Steering Clear plan is going to have to work to try to work out, because I want citizens to have driver's licenses. I want them to be able to drive back and forth to work. I want them to be able to go to the grocery store, take care of their kids. And for officer safety, I want somebody to have a driver's license so if they are pulled over, the officer knows who he has pulled over so that he knows whether or not to call for backup or take other precautionary measures. Criminal justice planning tracks how many inmates we have in our jail. Now, the Tennessee Department of Corrections houses the felons after they've been convicted and sentenced. Our sheriff houses inmates who are people who are having incarcerated pretrial and people who've been convicted of misdemeanors. The number of inmates our sheriff has had to house, CJP tracks it month by month. The lowest month of 2013 had more inmates in jail than the highest month in 2016. That is because we are working to make sure that the right people are incarcerated for the right amount of time, but we are not working to make sure that people stay incarcerated on things that should be handled with treatment, handled with support, or handled through counseling. And we're working on that. We're also going to be announcing later on this week a program to work to try to make sure that money bail is not something that is required on or that prevents someone from being released pretrial on a misdemeanor, except in certain identifiable exceptions to that. But we're going to work to try to make sure that that is not a cost borne by the citizens of this county if it's a misdemeanor that is something that's not going to be requiring incarceration after the conviction. We're also committed to fairness. Besides victim support and being good stewards of the community liberty and tax dollars, we're also committed to fairness. The diversity in our office has gone up 600% or more since I took office with regards to assistant DAs. We are open to conversations with nonprofits, and we're also committed to making sure that victims are treated well and given an opportunity to be heard by the DAs and the victim witness coordinators, no matter what part of town they're from. If they're the victim of an armed robbery, it doesn't matter what part of town you're from, you need to get the same level of attorney support from our office, and we're doing that. But speaking of fairness, Councilman Mendez, you asked the public defender about how the pay scale compares. Statewide, district attorneys and public defenders have a state legislated pay scale. Currently, as of last July 1, DAs and public defenders across the state start at $47,000, rise up to they top out after 25 years at $124,000. 5 years ago, Mayor Dean, meeting with my predecessor, Tory Johnson, said they were going to do a pay compensation study, and said to Mayor Dean said to Tory Johnson, and don't worry, we'll take care of the DAs when we take care of the other folks in Metro. That compensation study finished last spring, and it recommended that lawyers in Metro Legal and the Public Defender's Office start out at $61,000, $61,800. Top out for them is roughly $148,000. And we were forgotten about. That promise was completely forgotten. And so now I have to recruit folks to my office who are just getting out of law school with a pay scale starting at $47,000, and the folks that are the 25-year veterans in our office get paid about $124,000. We are the only, many jurisdictions across the country have DAs being paid more than public defenders. Some jurisdictions, and probably even most jurisdictions, pay them the same. We are the only jurisdiction in the country where the public defenders are paid higher than the district attorneys. To be put another way, we pay the lawyers who are representing people charged with crime 33% more than we're paying the people who are in charge of protecting the community and supporting our victims. If someone who's committed a criminal act deserves an excellent lawyer, which I agree they do, right? Any citizen accused, whether they committed the crime or not, is entitled to excellent representation. But when the person who's accused gets a lawyer that this community feels like needs to start out with a salary of $61,000, but the community also feels like the district attorney who's standing up and supporting the victim only starts at 47, that's for some reason that's just inverted. And I support the pay plan for what the public defenders are paid. In fact, I think they're worth more than that because they do provide excellent service and they are great lawyers. But it's hard to tell someone coming out of law school, yeah, you're going to be sitting across the table and you're going to be negotiating with somebody who's getting paid 33% more than you because that's what the community values them at versus values you at. Now, across the state, we have, this pay scale, but there is no local salary adjustment. So DAs in Nashville are paid 47, DAs in Polk County or in Covington, wherever, they get paid the same, even though our cost of living is more expensive, and that's not recognized by the state legislature. That's something that if we're going to make an adjustment, it's got to be done by this council. And lastly, it's about attrition, because it is not being a good steward of the funds of Metro for us to bring in somebody, train them up, and when they are ready, after they've been trained and they're starting to actually be able to handle cases on their own and try jury trials, to have them leave, and all of a sudden I got to start training somebody else up. 3 times in the last 6 months, I've had an assistant DA come into my office and say, I'm leaving for another government job. These are not people who are leaving to go into private practice, right? These are people, one left to go to the state health department and make about $10,000 more. Another left to go to the TBI and make $8,000 more. Another left and went to the Memphis DA's office where she was going to be paid more than we can pay her here, right? That attrition is what Public Defender Dawn Diener talked about that has dropped dramatically in her office over the last year, but it's something that I still have to deal with as the district attorney. So if the question is, can I operate under the current budget? Well, yes, right? The people who are assistant district attorneys who are working these jobs are committed to public safety, to public health, and we're going to keep doing our job. But if you're asking what's right, what's fair, what's equitable, what do we deserve, right? What we are asking for is essentially the state salary plus $10,000 per assistant DA. We've got 68 assistant district attorneys handling between 80,000 to 100,000 charges in a year. And they're working really hard. And what that would do is it would take our starting salary from 47 to 57, in the ballpark with the public defender, still $4,000 below, but in the ballpark. State DAs would then have step raises that are guaranteed, that are not actually guaranteed to the public defenders. And so there are times when we would come close or maybe even slightly pass, though the top out will still stay lower. But overall, it would be roughly fair. And so we have an office that has, that is funded by the state to the tune of roughly $7.8 million, and the $7.8 million and the Metro $6.6 million. Out of that, we fund a number of positions and a number of programs. We have 38 DAs that are paid for completely by the state, and we've got 30 DAs that are paid for completely by Metro. But these are all DAs, all 68 of them, who are Nashville DAs working to protect the Nashville community. So where the funding source comes from, it's not like we've got Metro lawyers and state lawyers. We've got one group of lawyers protecting Nashville. And so that's 68 of those. Hopefully we'll get another position from the state. We're working to try to get that. And we also have a couple of frozen positions that are Metro that are not, because we don't have the funding, those are not filled. We rounded to 70. We asked for $700,000 in this budget. What I'm asking y'all to do is put this on the council wish list and to make it your #1 priority as far as where you want those funds to go. This is really, really important. As we fund our public defenders, as we fund our police department, as we do the things that are necessary, the first duty of society is justice. That's engraved in stone on our A.A. Birch building. And when you're talking about justice, the DAs are partners in that. We're working hard, and I think this is what we need in our office.
Thank you, General. We'll go on to the first question from Councilman Mendez.
Thanks for being here, General Funk. You got to consider a career in law. You're pretty good at a closing argument. So I support what you're asking for. Are you asking for the 680,000, or so 68 people times 10,000, or just rounding it to 700?
Well, we actually said 760 because of the Social Security, the FICA. We figured 70 lawyers times 10,000 plus the FICA would be $760,000. So it's $760,000 is what we're asking for. And yes, that does overrepresent by 2 of the Metro $10,000 salaries. It would not hurt my feelings if you said 680, but if we were successful in getting an extra position funded, then I might have to come back to the council at that point. But I'd probably be able to find it somewhere in our budget at least until the next year. I'm not going to keep pestering the council about those sums.
And so just to make sure I understand, so with the request at the low end and the high end of the pay scale, your assistant district attorneys would still be a little bit below the public defender's office, and in the middle, you'd be close or a little bit over, a little bit under in the middle pay part of the pay range?
The public defender's pay range has ranges that the public defender can pay within, whereas we have actual yearly steps. So Ms. Diener has certain discretion that I do not. After 5 years, an assistant DA would make about the same as an entry-level public defender under the current plan, right? If we were to get that, then we would catch up to them within 2 to 3 years. There are times if she was unable to move someone from Public Defender 1 to Public Defender 2 to Public Defender 3 or Public Defender 4, or move their salary within that range, that we would probably pass by a certain amount, and then as she was able to give them a Public Defender 3 or a Public Defender 4 status, they would pass again. If they were to top out and our assistant DA was to top out, the public defender would make slightly more money. But overall, state plus 10 would make it fair. I've met with Ms. Diener several times over the last few months. She even looked at, how this would be roughly comparative to her staffing and her salaries. After looking at it, she wanted to go forward with staying in the Metro pay plan as opposed to adopting a state plus 10 for her office. There are pros and cons to both sides, but overall, it'd be fair.
Thank you. And I guess the last question I'll ask is, my sense from having been an employer of lawyers in the private sector, I know you've been an employer of lawyers in the private sector and now in the public sector, what Ms. Diener referred to about the retention problem with low salaries. I know everybody in your office has got their full heart and mind in the job, but are there retention problems that you've noticed?
Well, besides just those 3, we have lost other folks to private practice. We've lost folks to moving to either other jurisdictions out of state. I'm not sure what their new job would be. But yes, we have retention problems, and what I'm hoping is that this will make a significant difference. It won't eliminate it. There will still be folks that after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years go into private practice, but we won't be rated by other governmental agencies, and hopefully this will be enough to where people who are our best lawyers decide to make it a career.
Thanks. That's all the question I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. General Funk, I also want to commend you for the tremendous amount of diversity that you have brought to the DA's office. You campaigned that you would make a significant change and give everyone an opportunity. And you have certainly exceeded that. And our city and our community is just so grateful to you for your breath of fresh air in terms of leadership and for everything that you are doing to help those in our city.
Thank you.
I, too, am like Councilman Mendez on the equity issue in terms of pay. I think that there should be equity with all of the attorneys. So whatever we can do to help to make what you have requested, you did make a very strong closing argument.
I feel very passionately about
I need
this
General Funk represent me if I should have somebody to make a good argument for me. But certainly your case is strong. And we support that, and I don't see why there should be a differentiation. I do have a question about the state, though. Since the state funds some of these positions, because I know you gave a breakdown of the difference, have you also approached them in terms of increasing on their side so that possibly that could also get the attorneys over?
There was a proposed bill to increase ADA starting pay from 47 to either 53 or 55. That died a few weeks ago.
Okay. What can we do to also help to support putting pressure in that arena as well?
Well,
because they really obviously need to be paid more.
the District Attorney's Conference is 31 judicial districts, each with their own DA from across the state, put that as one of the legislative priorities of the conference. And sponsors were found for both those bills, and they did for both bills in the House and the Senate, and there was some traction, but nowhere close to enough to see that. I would agree that the state should be funding all district attorneys' offices at a higher level. I think they should be funding public defenders at a higher level, and I think it's very obvious that the state should be funding the Nashville Public Defender's Office at a higher level. But those conversations have not been successful recently.
Thank you, General Funk. Again, thank you for everything you do, your leadership. You and your staff, your office are appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. General Funk, I really can appreciate the fact that you guys really work hard and they're so underpaid. But one of the things that I guess we know when lawyers first come out, this is some of the thought that the Public Defender's Office and the DA are training grounds for a lot of officers. So a lot of attorneys coming out. So they do get a break in terms of starting out on their own. So you will admit that this is a training ground for a lot of lawyers, will you not?
It is a training ground for some lawyers. We have some really sharp young lawyers. I am not under the illusion that every single person I hire is going to be a career prosecutor. I myself, when I was a young lawyer, started out actually in the public defender's office in Memphis before coming to Nashville and being an assistant district attorney for several years, and then left and went into private practice. It is a great job to be a district attorney. It's also a great job to be a public defender. It's a great job to be a lawyer in private practice.
Right.
What we're talking about here is trying to make sure that things are fair, not just between our office and the public defender's office, but if someone has been in college and law school for 7 years, accumulated a huge amount of debt, comes here making $47,000 where the take-home pay is around $3,000, has to pay for housing and then have to pay their student loans down, there's nothing left to live on. And this would make a significant difference for those young lawyers in being able to have the ability to take these jobs.
Right, and that's why I think our workforce housing program is really good when it comes to issues such as that. But I want to ask you just two other questions. One, I want to know the impact of our federal government change in terms of how we treat refugees and how we treat those who need to be deported. Does that put an extra pressure on your office by having, I guess, to have a diverse staff that can communicate? I do know that we use the interpreters from the Office of the Administrative Court, but how much pressure does that put on you, and how much intangibles that we're not seeing? I mean, I'm over there, and I think the situation is getting tougher based on our new federal government standards.
Well, we try to be very cognizant of the individual needs, not only of the victims, but the defendants in cases. One of the things that I'm really proud of is we've hired either 5 or 6 native Spanish speakers into the office. In fact, we had a new victim witness coordinator that started today who is a native Spanish speaker. It's important to have folks who not only can speak the language, but who are native speakers, because that's a different level of communication that can take place in order to properly support victims, in order if there's a conversation that has to take place with a family member, potentially even with a pro se defendant, somebody who's representing himself. We need to make sure that those folks understand the system and feel fully supported by the system. With regards to immigration issues, we try to treat everybody the same, but we also have to recognize that a conviction for one person might mean a fine and cost, whereas a conviction for another person might mean deportation and being separated from their family. And so what we're trying to do is figure out what's the best thing to do on each and every case, recognize the humanity in the victim and the defendant, and try to craft an appropriate resolution that keeps the community safe and keeps the community healthy.
All right, and my final question for the evening, as it relates to, and I'm calling that an amnesty program because I'm big on with people who have been on the wrong side of the law for a very long time, being able to turn in their weapons or come down and get their record clean so that they can get to a fresh start. We talked about that with the 2 clerks, the civil court clerk, the criminal court clerk, and they both referred us back to Ms. Diener and yourself. Are we working towards such an amnesty program to help people restore their license? I heard Ms. Diener talk about that, but I want to know your efforts in that, as well as turning in weapons. And I often thought that some of the money that we take from forfeitages could be used as an incentive, like other cities, to give people that have weapons and don't have them under registration just a small, I guess, stipend to bring in their weapons. I think Chicago is doing it, and they claim that it's quite effective. So I just want to hear you talk about that amnesty situation as it relates to citizens that are out there that catch themselves in between, don't know what to do, but want to get themselves right with the law.
First of all, with regards to situations where we're talking about expunging records, I'm in favor of any time someone who has had a case dismissed, making it as easy as possible for those citizens to get those charges expunged from their record, because there are certain ramifications, collateral consequences for folks just for having an arrest on their record, even if it was one for which they were found not guilty or had the case dismissed. With regard to folks who have weapons, who should not have weapons, we have a number of gun laws on the books that we think should be prosecuted fully. I think it is a tragedy in Nashville that it seems like in a number of households, people who, are growing up, they get their cell phone at age 10 and their gun at age 15. And that's wrong, and that makes the whole community more dangerous. And we need to do what we can to discourage that attitude that, well, I need to have a gun for protection. Well, maybe you're hanging out with the wrong people. And so what our office does is if someone is convicted of a drug crime, it is our standard policy and procedure to either ask for jail time, ask that person to go to one of the gun-type classes, whether it's violence interrupted or 413 strong, to try to see what we can do to get folks some counseling in order to get them to have a lifestyle where they don't think that having a gun is just part of what you carry around in your pocket. With regards to having situations where people turn in their guns, there was a weekend where people were turning themselves in at a church. We staffed it, the public defender's office staffed it, the clerk staffed it, several of the general sessions judges came through. We also had some volunteers from the private bar to see, let folks have their warrant get served in a safe way. If it was a warrant that we did not intend to prosecute, we'd go ahead and process it, dismiss it to where they didn't have to even be taken downtown and booked and processed. And so we're in favor of that. People were also able to turn in guns at that, and I think over 50 guns were collected. That's still just a drop in the bucket. Your idea about taking some of the seizure money and having some type of program with it under the state law, seizure money can only go toward drug prosecution or drug education. If that becomes a bill in front of the legislature, I would certainly support it.
Thank you, sir, and I think your office is doing a great job, and I, too, appreciate the diversity that you have brought to the office. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Hager.
Thank you. General, thanks for being here. Let me say this, I've been practicing, I guess, as long as you have, about 30, 31 years, and we've been on the opposite sides a few times, but what I want to get to is this parity issue, because I know at one time the public defenders made less than you all did, and I want to know how that got where it's at now.
I know that back in the late 90s, early 2000s, this council did a real good job of trying to work to make sure that the public defenders got paid the same as the district attorneys. Yeah, I support that then, I support it now. It was really back when the pay study took place that said that all Metro lawyers should be paid a starting salary of $61,800 and with a top out at Public Defender 4 of roughly $148. That study was passed, but no one thought to say, well, but we said at the start of the study that we were going to take care of the DAs, and it didn't happen. I viewed it as an oversight. It's been a tough year in our office to have to tell our assistant DAs, yeah, they're making more than you are, but I'm sure it's just an oversight, and the city government is going to correct that as of July 1st of 2017. And that's what I'm hoping the government does this year, but that's how it got out of whack.
All right, well, I know at one time the public defender's office was fussing about the fact that they were making less than y'all were starting out. So what I'm looking at is you're looking at about $600,000 or $700,000 you're needing to do this, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Let me ask you this, and I can get with finance. If there was a way to do it over a 2-year period and split it up, would that help you any on the attrition issue, knowing that they're going to get parity at one time, sometime?
A nickel is better than zero, right? But to say that, well, we'll phase this in, whether it's over 2 years or 10 years, we recognize that there's a problem, and the problem needs to be fixed.
Right.
If I were to say that you were subjected to electric shocks every day for all of 2017, but don't worry, in 2018 it's only going to be half the days that you get electric shock, you would say, well, thanks a lot, but really I don't need to be shocked at all.
Right.
The reality is I have a situation. It causes problems with not only fairness, but with attrition, with being able to afford to live in Nashville. For all those reasons, we took care of the public defenders last year. We took care of Metro Legal last year. I don't think that the DA's office should have had to wait a year. I think it should have been taken care of last year.
Agree.
But that said, I think it ought to be taken care of in full July 1st. with the caveat that I appreciate any consideration at all.
Well, and that's the thing, trying to find the money. If we can find the money, then maybe we can do it all at once, but if we can't, that's another option that I was looking at, that maybe we can do it over a 2-year period, and at least they know it's coming, you know, then to keep them from leaving, because I understand your problem. You train somebody and then they leave.
This council should have realized that this was going to be a problem when
I
they
agree.
funded those other two entities last year.
That's why I want to know how I got out of whack to begin with. But I appreciate all that y'all do. You've got some great lawyers over there, as well as the public defenders, and I think they all should be paid the same amount. I support you fully.
I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Council Lady Erica Gilmore.
Thank you, General Funk, for being here. So everyone else has pretty much shared the same sentiment. So we appreciate what you do. You're definitely out in the community, working hard. I like all the programs that you have to support the community, as well as what you do in terms of diversity. So if we can find you some money, I'm for trying to get you some in the budget to support those attorneys.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Council Lady. Council Lady Allen, you're all set? Okay, thank you. Well, that was the last questioner from the council, and with that, General, thank you very much for being here, for your strong presentation. And with this, we call this session of the Budget and Finance Committee adjourned until 4 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you all very much.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.